Hello and welcome to Let's Talk About a series spotlighting esteemed leaders, authors, artists, marketers, creators, entrepreneurs, and brands, sharing their tips and expert advice on business, media, technology, and frankly, life. I'm your host, Cynthia Nelson, three-time entrepreneur, Forbes contributor, investor, and advisor. And today we're talking to the amazing Carell Augustus. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Cynthia. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I just want to read a little bit, and I'm going to have to read this to my audience here who's watching the video about Carell because there's so much to talk about, so much to unpack in this one. So Carell is a Los Angeles-based photographer whose career has taken him around the world to shoot some of the biggest stars on the planet. His celebrity clients have included Viola Davis, Beverly Johnson, Mariah Carey, Elizabeth Banks, Pierce Bronson, Meghan Markle, Serena Williams, and Snoop Dogg, to name just a few. Born and raised in Columbia, South Carolina, Carell's family members were his first subjects, actually. And MTV and shows like House of Style and the rockumentaries gave him a peek behind the scenes of the fashion entertainment world, while music videos opened his mind to the creative process. Today, we're going to be talking about this amazing 10-year, I think, plus labor of love
Yes.
that Carell has put together. It's called the Black Hollywood Book Project. I think it's one of the most interesting, creative, and frankly, timely pieces of content and books that have come out in a really long time. So, Carell, take us back to the beginning of when you thought about what this is going to be and why you wanted to
Yeah.
do, why you're the person to do it.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for that introduction. Sometimes you get so caught up in your own bubbles, you forget. I hear you reading that. I'm like, wow, yeah. I sit in my apartment in Los Angeles. I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. Oh, that's right. And people that I watched my whole life, when they got in front of my camera, it's just a great opportunity and moment for me. So thank you for that. So the book idea came to me the day that Michael Jackson died. Oddly enough, because I had done a hike on Runyon Canyon, and on my way to the hike with a couple friends, it was the same day that Michael Jackson died. The music was everywhere. It was coming out of cars. It was coming out of homes. It was in stores. It was at the grocery store. It was at Raw. It was just everywhere. And I was thinking to myself, regardless of how you felt about him as an individual, he, as an artist, left a mark on the world with his art. And as an artist, that's what you want to do the most. Nobody gets into these certain careers for one specific thing, but if you're an artist, it's in you and you need to express it. So that's how it came about.
Super. And that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I think Michael Jackson died in what, 2009 maybe?
Something like that. Yeah. So you started photographing, and tell us about the book and what it really is about.
Yeah. So I started photographing because I said, as a photographer, there's a photographer on every other corner in Los Angeles. So you can't just go out and shoot people because nobody cares. So you have to do something that's going to be impactful. I wanted to do something that I could give myself to, and I wanted to make a statement. And a lot of it came from imagery, things that I saw or did not see growing up. And because of my artistry and because of a certain skills that I had, I wanted to bring that to light in a tangible way. I physically wanted people to be able to see it and flip through it and have them think, oh, wow, I never thought of it that way. Or I could see it happening that way. So that's how it started. That's how I began the process of shooting for what is now a hit book, Black Hollywood
It is a
reimagining.
very big hit book. And I went to the opening in New York and was
Yes,
able to see you in person again, which was
yes,
lovely. But
yeah,
every page, and just for the audience, especially the audience it's on our podcast side who can't really see anything, tell us what the images represent, like how you matched the Black or African American artist, actor, actress, singer with an old Hollywood movie. Like it's about recreating,
yes,
frankly, what
yeah,
Hollywood would have potentially looked like if Black actors were actually in lead roles. I mean, I see in the background right now, I'm looking at Breakfast at
yeah.
Tiffany's, obviously, and that is what is her name? I'm sorry.
Amber Stevens
Amber,
West.
yes, yes. And she looks amazing, right? So tell us about like the ones that when you sat them down, how did you choose who they were going to be, or did they get to choose who they were going to be? And give us some context to some of the actors that and performers that are in the book and
Mhm.
what they're representing.
Yes. So when I thought I met Amber at a party back in like 2008. I didn't know her. I saw her at a party, and it was a mutual friends party. So a year later, when this idea came to me, I said to my friend, I said, the girl from, I think she was on the show called Greek. I said, the girl from Greek, I want her in my book that I want to start shooting, and I want her as Audrey Hepburn in Breakfast at Tiffany's, because she possessed that quality, that thing that that we feel when we see Audrey Hepburn in that role.
Mm-hmm.
So what I realized is everybody that I had asked to participate, and I gave them a very specific character I wanted them to do, they already had a connection with the character. There was a couple people that said, "Oh, maybe we go in a different direction," which I was fine with, and we would collaborate on what that would be. For instance, Kelsey Scott wanted to be Charlie Chaplin,
Mm-hmm.
and I was moved by it. I was blown away by it because even though I try to think outside the box, that was really outside the box. And when we got together to do the shoot, she had all of his mannerisms down. She was such a huge fan of his. And one of my favorite parts shooting the entire book was when the talent got to set, I would go and speak to them, but they would just look like they just got out of bed and,
Mm-hmm.
just came to set. Then I would go and light, and my assistants and I would pull things together to figure out how the shoot was going to go. And when I was ready, they would walk out as the character. So now it's not just her as Charlie Chaplin, it's my idea, just another step forward in making this tangible thing happen.
Yeah.
So, and that's an addictive feeling of having your imagination, your creativity come to life in front of you.
Yes.
So it was just phenomenal for me. We shot Adina Porter as the Barbara Streisand funny girl
Yeah.
and all those promo shots. And if you look at Adina Porter, she has an incredibly interesting profile, just like Barbara Streisand.
Mm-hmm.
So many different shots mirrored exactly who the artist was and the talent that I chose, if that makes sense.
I love
Vanessa
I
Williams.
love me some Cleopatra, by the way.
I was just gonna say Vanessa Williams. I mean, this woman,
Amazing.
she's history making. So you can't ask her to do something, fly by night. It needs to be something grandiose, and it needs to speak to who she is
Yeah.
and how we see her. And I've always wanted her for Cleopatra. And I met with her for lunch or something, probably a week before we shot. It was actually really scary because she was the first person that said, "Okay, I can do it next week." So now I have to make it happen.
And that's and the set, by the way, for anybody who's going to go, I'm going to add some photos to the video post side of it. It is an elaborate set for Cleopatra that you built, and there are some very hunky men
Yeah.
by her side. Maybe that's why I'm liking me some Cleopatra. But there's some very hunky men by her side, which I think, you had to pull together, out of
Yeah.
your own pocket,
Yes.
mind you, out of your own
Yes.
pocket, building this book over 10 years and, in between the shoots that you're doing, the stuff that you're doing with all your other big clients, you're
Right.
shooting these labors of love that will eventually become this amazing, really snapshot of history as it could have been.
Right. Yes. Um, when I met with her, because I wasn't thinking about hunky men, she goes, "Are you going to have me some hot soldiers?" I'm like, "Oh." And all I was thinking about was my budget, right? I'm
Right, your
like,
yeah, your budget. Like I'm doing this with my own budget here.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
I thought of all my friends that had abs, and I called them up and asked them if they wanted to be in the shot.
I mean, it's an incredibly beautiful shot. In the whole book, it is a coffee table book. There's a calendar, I believe, that is
Yes,
out with it as well. It's been out on the market for about the last, what, year and a half, 2 years?
about a year and a
Year
half.
and a half.
Yeah,
And it is a bestseller in
yeah,
its category also,
yes,
which is for a first-time author is incredible. You got
right,
a great, book deal with Source Books. We'll give them a little
yeah,
plug there because they are
yes,
amazing people and really understood Yeah, the whole team
Yeah,
understood what this meant and
right.
how important this book was to get out. What's been the reaction from, from people off the street or someone that when you're at a book signing, because you've done, book signings all over the country.
Yeah,
you know, what are the people, because it's black people, it's white people, it's every in
yeah,
between, and they're looking at this and saying, yeah, this is, if you can be it, you can see it. If
yeah.
I wish I would have had. So what's been the reaction?
Oh, the reaction has been just completely overwhelming and overwhelmingly positive from Black, white, Asian, Hispanic. Um, and I I was figuring out a way to sort of be in it. It was a very strange dichotomy of I've been doing this for 10 years. I know what all the shots look like,
Yeah.
but it was new life. And so when people would approach me and they wanted to talk about certain images and talk about how things happened, some people would say, "Hey, I'm a photographer," and I would be like, "Oh, that's great," and I would sign it. Then I realized, they want something like
Yeah.
they want because I know how I am when I meet photographers that I like. I started to draw in the book like a little camera. And I
Yeah.
said, "Oh, when I meet photographers or somebody's buying a book for a photographer, I draw a camera and it's that extra special thing that people appreciate."
Yeah.
I've had the luxury and the honor of giving it to Janet Jackson myself. I've given it to Oprah Winfrey myself. I've given it to Ted Sarandos. I just gave it to Henry Winkler, and everybody just and people of those caliber, they're just really shocked and amazed by it because it hasn't been done, but it hadn't been done before.
Yeah.
So, which is another reason why I was really able to give myself to it, even though I shot over 10 years and some people who followed it from the beginning got a little frustrated because they're like, "Well, what's going on?" I'm like, I had a vision
Yeah.
and it was important for me to see the vision all the way through, not just partially. And I'm glad we're able to do that.
Well, it's an incredible book, and by the way, the photos are just, phenomenal. From the one to the next to the next. Is there a volume two coming? I've got to ask. People are going to ask. I know they're going to run out. First of all, where can they buy this book? Where should they go buy
Yes.
it?
Yes. So the book is in all brick and mortars across the United States, Barnes and Noble, a lot of independent bookstores. We love and support independent bookstores. It is on Amazon under Black Hollywood. And you can buy it off my website. It's also available at Target and Walmart. And the links are at CarellAugustus.com for all the places you can get the book.
Oh, cool. What's next? Is there a volume two coming? Do I hear volume two?
You, you want to hear something really strange? So um, it's really hard to just say yes. Like you really do have to be motivated.
Yeah.
And I'm about to tell you a story that you're going to think I am completely nuts. But last Halloween, I was out in West Hollywood where the people go crazy with the outfits and the
Yeah.
dress and all this. And I saw a kid, he had the Freddy Krueger claws
Yeah. Yeah.
and it looked really real. And I said to him, I may have to rent those from you one day. Can I have your number? So I those claws will be one of the reasons why I started part two
Oh,
because I
okay.
really want to incorporate that. And it cost me a lot of money. This
Yeah.
time I want to reach out to sponsors and
Yes.
scholarships to see if we can't get a community sort of thing to help pay for it. So I'm looking
Yeah.
forward
No,
to
this was, again, we don't want to wait another 10 years.
it. No,
Documentary, anything. I also think the making of is so interesting too,
yeah,
because again, it did take a long time to put together, but the shots, the amount of celebrities that are actually in this book and
yeah.
representing, iconic characters from film. Um, is there something on, documentary wise? It could be really interesting, no?
Yeah, we're pulling together. So I own all the footage and I recorded everybody from the start. And I used to do interviews with them in the beginning. And then I said to myself, you're taking up a lot of their time. Then you had to redress the interview. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to stop doing interviews. But during the book tour, so many people came back to speak at the various locations that we were
Yes.
doing a function at. They spoke on a podcast with me. So a lot of that footage helps. And I've been speaking with a few documentarians about going over all the footage and figuring out if it's going to be maybe like a feature for about an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
or a series.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a huge story to be told because
Huge.
you literally, people see it and they see me as a mid-30s, like, God, you look so young. And I sometimes would record when I would call the talent to try to get somebody or try to get a book deal or try to speak to a PR person. So we have various um, audio recordings and videos of me doing that. So I think it makes for a great story.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll pull a trailer together soon, but that's one of my next stops, as well as a gallery show.
Yeah.
And on the way to volume 2, I got some really cool stuff.
I
That's
definitely think a lot of the photos that are, a lot of the pages in the book that and the photos that are in there, I mean, I can see a full gallery of those photos in someone's house for
oh wow,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Reproductions of those in framed, they're in black and whites and some are in colors, but framed on a wall. It's art. I mean, it's not just in a book. It's actually, it is art that should be sold as art and
Yeah.
signed and numbered. And so I'll be in line for that one when that comes out for sure. Definitely on my wall.
Yeah, Issa Rae had the shot for Psycho that we did was on the one of the last season of Insecure,
Yeah.
and they called me. They said, "Hey, we have this shot. Do you want it?" I said, "Absolutely." So it's hanging up at Quixote Studios, and the actress Simbi Kelly just went to see it for the first time.
Oh, that's so
In
cool.
that shot, she has these tiny twigs in the
Yeah.
shower. Now her hair is all long, and she's shot some shots with it. So I'll be posting those. It's really, really cool.
That's super
It's really
cool.
cool. Yeah,
Well, as always, it's a pleasure talking to you. You're
me too.
amazing. You're an artist. I'm such a big fan. I've been a big fan since, not since 10 years ago, the beginning, but
Yeah,
certainly, early stage, and
yeah.
it's all together. But I wish you the best of luck. And again, CarellAugustus.com. Go there,
Mhm.
buy the book, go to Amazon. It's Black Hollywood Book Project. Find it. You will not be disappointed. I'm giving you a plug here, but
Yes, thank
because
you.
I believe in it, and it's actually, like I said, such a timely representation, and kind of in your face. No one has done it. What it could have been like if Black actors were cast in all of these very iconic um, movies and
Yeah,
films of the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Cynthia. And I just want to say, the very first time I met you, you were so inspiring and so supportive. And you gave me a vision about the book that I hadn't even gone in, a direction I hadn't even gone in. I don't remember we were at the Roxy,
yep,
and all of you guys just made me feel like I was on to something.
yeah,
And we didn't know what was going to happen.
yeah.
And it just sort of went from 0 to 200 all within that week. So I'm really grateful to you because all artists just want to be supported and encouraged.
Yeah.
So thank
We,
you so much for that.
it's my pleasure. Thank you so much, Carell.
Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.